We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there.
Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome to another edition of Blood and Guts, HHN. This week, we're doing Tour 6 House Unmasking, Part 3.
The grand finale.
The grand finale. How you feel about this one?
Oh, I'm excited, Evil Adam. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. We're going to cover some good houses for you here. And if you haven't seen our other videos going back to do Monsters, Chucky, Blood Moon, Stranger Things, you know, you're going to want to go back and check those out. But this is the 6 House Tour Part 3. So what house have we got up, man?
We got Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate.
Mm-hmm.
And the way HHN describes it in their pamphlet is 2 powerful warlocks invade Merlin's castle and are turned into dragons of fire and ice. Now you must choose a path and a victor. So, Evil Adam, what's those dragons' names?
That's Blizzrock and Pyrock.
So it's not Harry Potter.
No, it's not. It's not the Hungarian horntail, as some would have you believe. This goes all the way back to the original ride, and I feel like for this house they did a great job with it. Now it might have fell a little low in our rankings initially,
and honestly, like you said, speaking of that, for me it was just the scare factor. Like as far as the house goes, this is probably one of the most well designed and detailed and. Like you talk about immersiveness in this house.
I mean, it had four.
There's 3 or 4 facades.
3 or 4 facades in this house, and the Rapunzel. You had the beginning one, which was the
Enchanted Oak.
Enchanted Oak. That's right. I was brain farting on that name. The Enchanted Oak Tavern, which Merlin, he's turned into the oak, but he still's got the big beard and.
Now I can't remember this. Was it the same person that did the audio for the old ride, or just someone that sounded just like him?
It was the same guy that did the audio for
Tooth Fairy. I know
Tooth Fairy, but it was a new person who just based it off that old.
But it was the same recordings, yeah.
Yeah, and that would have been hard to. I mean, you could have remastered the old recordings, but you're talking about from '99.
Yeah.
So the quality would not have been. Obviously is good,
right?
In this house, but it was a beautiful house, very beautiful indeed. And as you kind of come into this thing, you're going to see the Enchanted Oak.
Yeah,
you can see the fairy forest. You're going to see parts of the castle, parts of the room with the knights who have been frozen and burned. You're going to see all kinds of cool artwork that goes all the way back to the ride.
Yep. And I mean, one good thing is they actually reused some stuff from the old queue line. Like I know they said it was like a chandelier or lighting fixture they actually found in storage that they did not know was there, and like, oh good, we can put that in the house.
Yep.
And it's just so like things like that, and seeing it come to life and all the details in like one detail that our tour guide told us about is all, if you look at the trolls' faces, it's all the same exact mask and mold, but the only thing they did is they're painted up differently, different piercings in the ears or maybe piercings in the nose, just things like that to give them more character. And it's just things when you go through your walkthrough, you see them so quick, you don't really pick up that it's the same mold and the same faces. But like I said, that's the beauty of HHN, how they're able to do that sleight of hand on you where they can keep you guessing.
Oh yeah, and this house it's very beautiful.
Yes,
it's. I mean, you get lost in it. It definitely feels like a fantasy house. I mean, it could easily have been changed several ways and been a Lord of the Rings, or a Hobbit, kind of house. You're going to see a little bit of the pictures of the inside of the castle, different things like that. You're going to see, different areas where things are burned or frozen.
Right.
It's It was really well done.
And like seeing the minions of the wizards, like the fire and the ice, and how they were done up, and like had the icicles coming out of their heads and the fire, and they had the chess pieces on there, like that would light up when you do your house runs.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, well done touch on there. One cool thing too, and we'll put up the pictures. Is we mentioned in our first episode where they would put frogs throughout the house, and this was a house like I said where they put like a little wizard hat on.
Yep, there's a little wizard hat on there,
and just fun stuff like that. So if you went through and you picked it out, and you're like, "What's that doing there?" There was a reason behind that. They just done that throughout all the houses to really mess with the one of the heads of HHN Orlando.
Yeah, I can't remember who that was. The creative director, maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, it was. I mean, going through the first night. We did the first night before we did the tour the next day, and seeing it, and then seeing it on the tour itself. Really, you kind of get to take your time. You get to look around. You get to hear the stories.
And this might have been the most pictures we were allowed to take in all the houses. I want to say pretty much every room was.
This one and Yeti were the most photogenic houses. For instance, certain rooms you could and could not take photos in. This one, yeah, like you said, this one definitely we could take a lot of photos. You're going to see those coming through as we're talking at you right now. But yeah, this, the dragons. The only thing I wish there would have been more dragons.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And kind of the way they did the end of the Case Files Detective House, with the Jersey Devil puppet coming at you, or the Beetlejuice sandworm coming at you, or even in the Pumpkin Lord, the Wicked Growth with the giant evil pumpkin. I wish there could have been more moving prop puppet dragons. Unfortunately, there were not for our taste, but maybe they'll build from that and go forward.
And honestly, I think they had opportunity as well. Like I know for Stranger Things, it was actually a nitpick how they had too many projections. They could have done some projection of dragons. Maybe you see like far away, like one flying in the distance or something like that.
Burning a village or something like that. That would have been really cool.
Yes.
The way I would have done it is have a projection of a dragon burning a village, and then at the same time set off a cue for smoke to fill the room.
Yeah, feel some heat.
You feel the heat. You smell the burning embers, and which you did in this house. Smell the burning embers. Even on the tour. When the characters weren't in there, the cues weren't active, the triggers weren't active. You could still smell the burning smell. Which was really cool.
One thing while I'm thinking about too, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the house that I did the other ones, were Universal Booze and Ghouls, if you haven't seen the other videos yet, want to keep you guessing whenever they file for building permits and all their blueprints.
Yep.
They come up with code names for the houses to throw you off the scent. And this one was actually called Pineapple. Can't remember the exact reason why. I know PJ for a lot of these houses, our tour guide, he really didn't like none of
the terms, yeah.
Right. Like one he did like, but wasn't on the 6 house tour though, was Last of Us was a pair. And that made sense, when you think about Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie and Joel. But yeah, I can't remember either, and a lot of that's my own fault because I should have been paying attention, but I was too busy taking photos and just getting immersed into the house.
Right, and like continuing the house, talking about immersion, one of my favorite rooms in the house was Merlin's like little, I don't know if you call it his library or like it just his room.
Yeah, his library, his spell room.
His spell room, yeah. And actually, like you couldn't really get a good picture of it, but one of the coolest trivia for this house was if you looked up on his bookshelf, there was a copy of the Necronomicon.
Yep.
So were these some Deadites that we're fighting with?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
we'll leave that up to you.
little fact that they put in there.
Yeah.
Which is just, the house was full of little cool things, cool little throwbacks to the old ride from 99 and yeah, just a gorgeous house.
I love this house.
The castle facade with the chain, the drawbridge, everything. And then another castle facade with the two dragons perched atop, which you're going to see in this photo here, where we decided this is where it's selfie time. So you'll see some of these coming through where we've decided it's full on selfie time, and we took advantage of that.
And,
so
I don't know if you can see it well in one of the photos, but I know you mentioned Rapunzel and how she got shot. But
yeah, we do have that one.
You can see arrows like all over the place. So whoever, finally hit her, but they were terrible aim.
Terrible aim, and not a very good dummy puppet, whatever you want to call it, as well. It kind of looked a little more like your department store mannequin.
Granted, when you're going through it now and it's lit properly, it looked a little better, but we had the
fogged
lights
out.
on.
Oh yeah, you can't see that. But
one good thing about this house too, they kept it like the original ride. Is how obviously the whole choose thy fate element was you choose your path and get that different outcome, but they kept it with the actual ride. How if you chose the ice path, it was actually longer.
A little bit longer. Oh yeah,
like the ride was.
Merlin in there and scared the shit out of us a couple of times.
And then obviously, the fire would be a little bit shorter, but then you're choosing your path, and depending on the night, you got multiple different outcomes. Like I said, the nights we went, Merlin actually won. He'd pop out, and like I said, scares pretty good.
That first Merlin was delayed on popping out, so we got in there and we kind of even stood in the room for a few minutes, and then he finally popped out and scared the shit out of us. So.
But and they said the other outcomes was one of the wizards would hold the severed head of Merlin. So if you've seen that, leave it in the comments. Like I said, because I hadn't seen a photo of it, but that would have been cool to see.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, so it was very well done, just very good. Throwbacks to the ride and good nods, and it really hit you in your heart for the nostalgia of missing that old road, because that was one of my favorite roller coasters out of both parks.
Yeah,
so
the queue was the reason it was one of my favorite roller coasters. So for them to bring that back was really good, although it did fall a little bit lower on our lists as far as scares and rankings go. Still a good house overall.
I love it, and honestly, I wouldn't mind to see another house if they were to continue the storyline for it. Maybe not do it next year.
No, give it some time to breathe. Right. Yeah, you're right.
But moving on then, Booze and Ghouls, to our final house, we got Yeti Campground Kills, and it's described as in the 1950s campground, a group of towering, terrifying Yetis are running rampant, ripping apart anyone who gets in their way.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll go ahead and throw it out there. The code name for this house is Kiwi, and the only reason I can guess is because they're a little bit furry on the outside, or feel that way. Yeah. So that's my guess. What's your guess, Booze and Ghouls? Let us know in the comments on why they would call it Kiwi.
Yeah, totally. And
so kicking it to you, Adam, what were some things that stood out to you about this house on the tour?
Well, I really like this one, because it has that whole old school 70s, not 70s, 50s, so much 50s, but also some 70s elements, like the whole Ranger Rick, the whole, you're coming into this campground. There's posters. You'll see in these photos, folks. There's posters. There's trail guides. Yeah. There's maps of the state park. So you're in Shadow Creek State Park, which is a throwback to the Yeti Terror of the Yukon. It's a throwback to Cary, Ohio, all their old HHN throwbacks. But you'll actually see maps in this house of this Shadow Creek campground. You'll see lakes and mountains.
That's beautiful, like you're talking about, because like the details in each one, and you'll see in the photos of every room just how they got the set dressing of it for everything.
Oh,
like you said, the maps. There's journals. There's letters written in certain rooms and stuff. If you're in the house at night doing the run through, you're just walking through. You can't really stop and take a look and read what's going on here. But we actually got some good pictures on some of this stuff, and it just helps paint a picture. But that one thing I like to call is that opening facade, like you're talking about. Like, man, it was just
a cabin with the dead ranger.
You smelled the pine.
Smelled the pine. You got scenes where there's signs telling you, oh, the campground is over here, the restrooms are over here, here's the bait and tackle shop. This kind of stuff. It's just so well done. You had the dead baby Yeti with the maggots on it, and going through in the dark, you don't even see those.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that baby Yeti, because when we was on the tour, people were asking, is that the reason why the Yetis are coming and killing everybody? And they actually said they were leaving it ambiguous, like that's for you to decide. So me personally, that's what I think is
somebody accidentally killed a baby Yeti, and now they're coming to wreak havoc.
Yeah, because I know when you're on the tour, or not on tour, but on the actual run, you got the kid that's poking
Billy.
Billy.
And Billy can kiss our ass for killing that Yeti. But and then you had the cabin scene with the cabins all falling in, and if you actually look up, you can see the top floor of the cabin. You can see some furniture. You can see some deer heads on the wall. You can see several, like there's a bass on the wall, some kind of fish. I'm not a fisherman, so I'm assuming it's like a bass or something. But like the level of details in the outhouse with the smear of the fake poop on the walls, the snake,
you.
the toilet snake coming out. You had all the old and the 50s chairs, and we had talked about there being RVs and stuff from the 50s.
Right.
There were, but also you had the mirror lake, which looked like a lake. And we have some shots we're going to put up of that as well here.
And I wish you could do videos of that one because the fireflies over that lake,
fireflies
going
over
off.
the lake.
It was beautiful,
just beautiful. And this house definitely had that comedy, but still like in your face. Like when the characters decided they were going to get up in your grill, they got in your grill, and they didn't care.
Nope, you're right. And like one of the beauties of this house was that PJ, our tour guide, actually took us not only through the house but actually behind the scenes of the house and shows where your scare actors would come through and showed how they have it marked. Like this here's the murder Yeti.
Yeah.
This here's the hands over the walkway Yeti.
Reaches down as you come through the cabin area and the lake area.
Yeah.
And like we said in other videos, certain areas we were allowed to take photos, certain areas we were not. So you'll see some photos from different vantage points here. But yeah, this house was actually great. And I feel like we spent a lot of time in here just kind of chilling, taking in the scenery, which was great because, that's the whole thing about the tours. Say the tour guide goes on, he's continuing to talk, she's continuing to talk, whatever. You can choose to kind of stay behind a room or two, which I did in this house. I stayed behind a couple of rooms and, wait for those other members to kind of move on, get some good photos, just kind of chill, taking the scenery on your own.
That's one good thing, like you said, Booze and Ghouls. What they do is they'll give you an actual earpiece. So even though they may be a room ahead of you, you still hear everything that's going on. You still get all the trivia, all the facts that you want to get. So that's actually a good tip if you actually want to be able to soak in things and get good pictures. You can kind of hang back and wait for it.
A lot of these rooms I did hang back, and that's how you're going to see some of these photos today is, just me hanging back, Matt hanging back, kind of taking our time in the rooms, especially in Blood Moon and in Yeti, and this one as well. We're just hanging back and getting in the back of the line in this one isn't so bad because, you're getting these good shots. And just, the whole scent of the house, you could smell it as soon as you walk in, even though there weren't any characters, there weren't any scents being pumped yet until the event started. But this one was just...
Yeah,
it was.
One thing they did mention, they actually took a lot of trees from where they're building the Epic Park and used them for this house. So I'm sure that helped give off a lot of sense too. But that was just cool because they're talking about how that was the most trees they've used in any house they've ever done at HHN.
Yeah, and then they even went as far as to mirror.
Yeah.
On the back walls, those trees. So, maybe they got like 10, 12 trees. They got a couple of mirrors up in the back. It looks like you're in a forest because it looks like it just goes on. And this house was one that, I could have stayed in there all afternoon.
Oh, me too. And one thing I have to mention too, kind of like piggybacking off and going back a little bit where you're talking about the RVs, one of the great things of this tour was how they let you get a closer look into that RV that you can't when you're doing the walkthrough. You can actually see Karen's head on the backside where they got that prop rigged to bang up against the wall.
The head against the glass several times.
And so, like I said, that's something you can hear it when you walk through the walkthrough, but you can't see it. So actually seeing that head, and actually they had it bloodied up on the inside. They wouldn't let you take a picture of that one though, but it was still amazing to see.
The happy retirement. You have the body that's been dragged through the fire. And just so many good elements in this house.
And that's what we're talking about when we get to that picture, too, for the happy retirement. There actually is a note where there's like, happy retirement, Ed. I hope you enjoy your time down in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, or, Wisconsin or wherever it was supposed to take place. And it says, what was it say at the end? Something cheeky at the end, like, watch out for bears.
Yeah.
Or something, which there is the HHN bear in the house. It says something very cheeky, like, watch out for bears.
If that bear makes an appearance in another house, Booze and Ghouls, if you yell, bear, bear, bear.
But sometimes you'll get a little boogie.
Sometimes you get a little dance. And that's like I said, that's always fun to see. So,
but yeah, this house, just touching back on it, was so many details. The little maps and calendars that said, 32, Ranger Station 32, so on and so on. It was just
That's one good thing to do with all them houses, a reference to the year we're at. So next year you'll be seeing a lot of 33s hanging around. But like I said, Booze and Ghouls, this is honestly, it was one of my favorite houses. It may not be my top house. I would give that to Blood Moon, and I know you give it to Monsters.
Oh, yeah.
But this one won House of the Year, and I ain't going to lie, it's hard to argue against it because it's very well done.
They were having a good time, and they were stepping on the gas. From the beginning of the event to the end, they were stepping on the gas, getting more in your face. They were more intense. So these characters definitely deserve it, and you could tell they were having a good time in here.
And like I said, they did a great job, and it's something we love, and I'd love to go back to it right now if I could.
Oh, if I could, yeah, we'd be back.
But that concludes then Booze and Ghouls, the house tours. But let me ask before we close out, Adam, being this was the first time we've done this, what would you think of this experience? Is this something you think was well worth the money, or are you going to do it again?
Oh yeah, definitely going to do it again. I wish we would have had more time to do the 3 house tour well.
Maybe that's something we can try to figure out.
Yeah, next time. But yeah, totally. I would say it's well worth. If you really like the lore of the house and you really enjoy details and props and makeup and scenic effects, lighting, I would say it's worth your time. If you just want to run through the house and get scared, maybe it's not so much for you.
Right.
But if you really are a film snob, a freak like us,
love anything to do with horror.
Yeah, and just want to know, because I'm a button pusher, I'm a question asker. I'm going to say, how did you do that? How did you make this like this? How did you do? So I think that it would definitely be for you. But aside from that, yeah, I would say the 6 house tour, especially get a good guide, and all the guides are awesome.
Yeah.
All the guides are awesome. And we got lucky. We got a super awesome guide, PJ. We want to give another shout out to you and say thank you for taking us through these houses. And as always, yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you enjoy the content.
Yep.
And
like I said, be ready for whatever we have coming in store. We got creature features, Hell of the King, slasher ramen.
Got more slashers coming for you. And we're gonna have some more HHN content. Might be a special surprise or 2 up there. So just just stay tuned. And as always, stay spooky and remember, running guts.